take me back to when you got started into the industry. What was kind of like some hard moments that were just really challenging just getting into the industry to start?
There's definitely a lot.
Maddie Hoffman just got off her first $20,000 a month in AP. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down exactly her script, what she says to clients, her process from going from the lead buying hamster wheel to actually starting to generate her own leads, and her process from trying to figure out this industry step by step by step. Talk us through that a little bit, just for agents out there that have never even hit even 10,000 in AP.
Absolutely. I think that's something that we all struggle with, especially as new agents.
So Maddie, welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you coming on
Morning.
here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I want to go back, right? I want you to take me back, right? So we've been working together for 3-4 months now. I want to take me back to when you got started into the industry. What are what was kind of like some hard moments that you went through that were just really challenging just getting into the industry to start?
hmm there's definitely a lot getting started in any new industry.
Yeah.
Just the learning curve, learning the products, phone skills, I think definitely in the beginning was just learning the script, objection handling, and just keeping like a consistent schedule. I think that's what I struggled with the most when I first got in, because it's like, oh, I can wake up late one day, or like, oh, I can take a 2 hour long lunch. And it's
Mm,
just sticking to the schedule, and then just the learning curve, chargebacks in the beginning.
mm,
It was a lot of up and downs. I think in the beginning I was so excited, and my main thing I was nervous about not having like a go-to person,
mhm.
with any questions. But I was lucky I had like my upline has been super helpful. I think my first month, it took me a couple months to kind of get the ball rolling,
Mhm.
and then it just slowed down big time, and I
Mm,
needed extra help, constant scripting, role play, like daily, just drilling it into my head, practicing the
yeah.
script, because it's really easy once you get a little bit of momentum in this industry to fall off. So I just
Yeah.
needed consistency and daily practice.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of people and a lot of agents that I see and work with, they think they have the scripting in, they think they have the training, they think they have the like all the infrastructure in place, which is fine, right? But talk us through that, right? Because you came in, you've been extremely coachable. One thing that I can say like confidently with you is you sounded way better than most people that actually start inside the program, right? But you came in and you're like, hey, I'm gonna be coachable. I'm gonna act like I know nothing from here on out. Um, what was that process like going from you've sold some insurance before, but really starting to try to sell at a high level, and your process within that coming into the program and so on and so forth with that?
I think because I just hit my year mark like a month ago,
Yeah.
and I think we all think we should be further along.
Mm,
But when I joined the community, I just told myself I'm going to have an open mind, because I've been doing this for X amount of months now, and I'm kind of stuck. I needed a little bit more help, and obviously you and the team have the system figured out. So I
mhm.
put, my ego aside and was like, I'm going to listen to everything they say. I'm going to switch everything up. I'm like a brand new agent coming into this, and
Mhm.
it's obviously helped tremendously. And I think my experience on the phones and working like service industry, bartending, like I'm a people person,
Mhm.
but there's definitely little skills and little details to hone in on, that a lot of people, not listening to your own calls, really practicing the objections daily, just the little things. And I think all the role plays and daily calls helps a lot, and listening back to them. That's really what I did. I would listen to the script over and over. I started listening to my calls every day, and started writing down all the objections I'm getting, what I keep getting stuck on every day.
Mm,
And I'm like,
mhm.
okay, this is what needs work. Um, I think it was just the consistency of practicing every day, and
Mhm.
also just having a community of people that are like minded, and, kind of cheering each other on has helped a lot.
Yeah, I think it's so underrated. Because I don't think when I remember getting my first like buying into my first program, I was buying in because I wanted the help from the person, right? But then when I actually got in there, I ended up leaving with way more connections and way more people to be able to talk to, and that's what the real value, at least for me, was paying into it, was being able to take outside the program, be able to build connections, get on Zoom calls, break our businesses down, see what's working, seeing what's not, role playing, things like that. And what's cool is you always show up, right? You show up and you're very hyper consistent, which I think a lot of agents really struggle with. And I think that's really contributed a lot to your success, right? In the so far, right? And it is we're just scratching the surface from where you're getting to right now. It's okay, how do we stay and maintain at 20,000? How do we get to 30, 40,000 a month? How do we actually net 20,000 a month? And it's all about a process and a journey. But I think hitting 20K in AP a month, I remember my first time, it was just a belief shifter and a belief breaker that, hey, I can actually do this. um, did you think that you could do it, or was there like a limiting belief there I don't know if I can, or talk us through that a little bit, just for agents out there that have never even hit even 10,000 in AP.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think that's something that we all struggle with, especially as new
Hmm.
agents, because you see people posting these crazy numbers, and I think we all go through that. Like, I know it was possible because I've seen people do it,
Yeah.
especially I think joining a community of people that are trying to get better and just top producers and saying, like, if they can do it, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
But I think for me, there was definitely a lot of limiting beliefs because when you join anything, you don't even know if it's going to work. And you're throwing a
Yeah.
lot of money into a new business that you're trying to
Yeah.
learn, you know, and get up the learning curve. But absolutely, I think for me, a lot of it was mental because like I knew I can talk to people on the phones,
Yeah.
but I would just get so nervous for no reason. Like I still do sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
all in your head, because at the end of the day, it's telesales. We're not even face to face. The worst that's going to
Hmm.
happen is they're going to hang up, and I can
Yeah.
call them back in 3 days, and they won't even remember me. And that's kind of the mindset I went into it. But for me, I think my biggest struggle was I was so laser focused on like I need to hit 20K, I need to hit 20K. And the first 2 months, that kind of I don't know, not ruin my progress, but definitely focusing more on the inputs instead of the outputs, like hitting my daily numbers every day, like
Yeah.
non-negotiables. I think that's what really helped me get to that 20K.
Well, it's interesting because we can get so distracted by our goal that we actually do things that aren't building it, right? That's why, like, if you follow me or anybody follows me on Instagram, every day I'm posting brick by brick, because it really is building one brick at a time. It's getting better at one objection every single day, drilling that over and over and over again. So when they say call me back later, you know exactly how to handle that. When they say, hey, I need to think about it, you know exactly what to say. When there's certain things that come up, your tonality is on point, the lead flow is really good, so on and so forth. So you can really have the reps continuing to go, and then the skill is right. But I think at first it might not work right away, which is fine, because you're building something sustainable this time. You're building something that's going to work. And changing up an intro is not easy, right? Changing up parts of the script is not easy, especially if you've been running one script for a while. A year's a pretty good amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, that's really challenging. But I guess for you, right? Like, what is the biggest thing that was the thing that pushed you, I guess, over the edge? Because there's a lot of skepticism nowadays, right? There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like, hey, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if this is legit. Especially in the coaching space, right? Just the connotation of it. What was kind of like because I know every single person goes through one of those moments that it's like, I really don't know if this is real or legit.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that you did that you're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take the step. I'm gonna take the leap. Not anything's guaranteed in life. I'm really just going to dive headfirst into this.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, it was kind of at a point in my business where it's like, okay, I'm almost at the year mark. Um, Honestly, I was kind of at a point where it was like sink or swim. Like I'm either gonna have to get a job, which I didn't want to do,
Mm.
or I can fully, immerse myself into this, invest in myself, and go all in. Because no one knows if it's going to work in the beginning, but it's possible because people do it every day. And I think I was kind of at the point where it's like I need to invest in myself, get with a community. And after speaking with you too, and I've followed your journey as well. And we kind of related with debt and, being new into the business and, just talking to people in the community and stuff has helped immensely. And it was kind of just at the point where it's like, I'm either going to do this or I'm not. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of people get held back from that though.
hmm
Like a lot of people get held back, hey, I'm in debt, so I'm not going to do it. But the reality is like that's a symptom, right? The problem is you're not figuring out how to make money. You're not actually you don't know how to actually succeed, right? You're not getting maybe not in your case, right? But people aren't getting help from their upline. They're not getting help from their mentor that brought them into the business, their recruiter, whoever it is, and they don't know exactly how to sell, right? And so you obviously knew how to sell really good, sounded really good on the phone from the start. But I think also having the marketing side in, so on and so forth, there's a lot of different factors that could come into play. Even instant issue carriers, right? Like writing the right carriers. I think people have the sales side dialed in. They have the marketing side like really good, but they're writing horrible carriers and wondering why their profitability is not there. It's multifaceted, right? And so I think having people who are in the front lines actually doing this day to day, you're on the forefront of the whole industry, right? Um, so that makes sense, and I can appreciate that. What for you though was like, hey, even though I might be in debt right now, that I'm like, hey, a lot of people will be like, hey, I'm gonna go more into debt, but you might have thought that too, or I'm curious your thoughts on that.
hmm I think I was already at a point where it's like, I could either stick where I'm at and like maybe slowly make my way, but
Hmm.
realistically, it's like it was kind of consistent for months of where I was at, and I wasn't happy where I was at. So it's either I make a change, take a little risk on yourself, always bet on yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's what I say, but it's nerve wracking, but
Hmm.
it's the long term vision and goal of like, I don't want a 9 to 5 job working for someone else that I don't care about that has a cap of what money I can make. I'm down to put the extra hours in now for a better future where I can have more flexibility.
Yeah. 100%. So let's talk about the inputs, right? So on a day-to-day basis for a newer agent or an agent out there that's not hitting 20K a month, what does your daily schedule look like that they can follow and replicate to be able to try to hit those 20K months?
hmm I would recommend always writing your schedule out. I have like a little, I'm old school. I like to write things. I always have
I love it.
lists.
Yeah.
I have a little like whiteboard tracker over there with all my sales and stuff too. But I try to get on the phones like 8 a.m. every day. Try to get a morning workout in. I'm usually up at like 4:35, get my morning workout in, have a good little morning routine, and then on the phones at 8. Then I usually am calling until we have like a midday meeting or lunchtime around noon. And then after that, I'm on the phones again until around 6. And then afterwards, I always try to review calls or, just write down notes of the day, reflect what could I have done better, what's to improve or what needs to be done tomorrow.
Hmm. Yeah. That's good. So, how many dials are you making a day, or what are your target numbers? Are you looking at dials, contacts, presentations? Like, what are your goals as far as that goes, right? Because you got the schedule in place, but do you have daily goals that you're trying to hit, or weekly goals, or monthly goals? Like, what does that actually look like for you?
My main goal is dials or talk time. I always
Okay.
try to hit at least 300 dials, but that really depends on how much talk time I have. I try to
Hmm.
hit at least 4 hours of talk time a day, but really my main goal is hitting that 300. But I use Kixie, and I'm so glad I did switch to Kixie. Just having the local presence and multiple numbers has helped my contact rate immensely.
Hmm.
But really, just the 300 dials every day, that's the main goal.
Okay. So you have the 300 dials, and then are you working just Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday? What's that look like?
Typically Monday through Saturday. Sometimes it really depends on where I'm at with my numbers. I try to
Hmm.
hit the 5K a week. But if I'm, having a slow week or I slacked off a little bit during the week, I will work Sundays too. Usually not a full day Sunday, but usually Monday through Saturday every week.
Yeah. That's good, and that's the consistency. That's the showing up. We talked about profitability. I think that's a big thing that we've talked about, right? In the 2 to 3 months that you and I have been working together. What are some like breakthroughs that you've had to be able to actually increase your profitability as an agent and actually get paid from carriers?
Mhm. The main switch that I would recommend anyone, which I have noticed a big difference, is just writing good carriers that have true Social
Hmm.
Security billing and that pay on approval. Because there's certain carriers that you can write. If I write an app today, I'm going to get paid tomorrow morning. And that goes directly back into marketing. So you can invest in more leads, and it's just crazy how much more profitability you have with good carriers.
Yeah. So what are those carriers for you that you'd recommend agents actually start using to be able to increase their profitability there?
I try to stick with two main carriers for level, which is going to be Royal Neighbors and American Amicable.
Okay. And then are you have the two carriers and then graded GI? Like, are you writing GI or not, or graded or not? What's that look like for you?
I am right now, but I eventually want to kind of move back from that because they're just typically not the best, you know, clients to have, or just the retention rate isn't too good with
Yeah.
most of those.
Yeah, it's not great at all.
Hmm.
And it's cool to be able to get to a spot, right, where you have constant lead flow coming in, you're making constant sales every day, and you don't really have to make the sale, right? You're actually able to qualify them more harder to where, hey, if they're direct express, if they're it's gonna be a guaranteed issue policy, hey, I'm not gonna write it actually. I'm actually gonna move on and I'm not gonna waste my time because I know the retention's probably gonna be 50%, 60%, right? At
Hmm.
best, maybe 30%. But being able to write good carriers, level business, true social security billing, so on and so forth. When you write these good, healthier people, your retention stays higher. You're getting paid more. They could probably afford more. It really goes hand in hand. So let's talk about intros, right? Because you're really good at really keeping people on the phone. So what are the like what was the biggest breakthrough for you to be able to keep people on the phone, right? Because I know you and I, like you messaged in the community chat, I'm really tempted to get off the phone on the like certain people. I want you to kind of go deeper into that, like where you where you're thinking before, now how you kind of keep people on the phone and your thought process and mindset when you have somebody on the phone.
Hmm. I think it's all just a mindset going into this. Just having that mentality of like the worst that they're going to do is hang up, and it doesn't hurt to see how far you can push the call. Because
Mm.
even the other day, I sent a call in the chat, and this lady had every objection, and it was all smoke screens, but she had like five objections up front. And I was like, I'm just going to play with this because at the end of the day, they're either going to hang up or you're just going to be able to push through. And it's fun, it's practice. You have to think of it as like, this is practice for the next call. But that's kind of where my mindset shifted of like, it doesn't hurt to just see how far you can push the call until
Yeah.
they hang up or you get it out.
Yeah, 100%, right? So when you're getting let's just role play real quick, right? Because I think this is important for people to hear is how you're actually doing this, right? So okay, you're calling me and I'm like, hey, can you call me back later? I'm like super busy right now.
So when I say perfect, that's exactly why I'm calling. Johnny, I could try, but we're super busy here at the office as well. What I could at least do is give you your rates real quick, and you could give me a call back later if they make sense. Real quick, you're still in the state of Texas, right?
Yeah, yeah, I am.
Yeah, so I always just end with a question. That's the main thing. It's like stop them in their tracks and then end in a question. That's what I've
Yeah.
noticed has helped a lot.
Yeah. So what are the objections that you're getting on the start of like the first part of the call, right? Because you're working fresh leads, you have
Mhm.
consistent lead flow coming in. Like, what are the objections that you're actually getting?
It's typically going to be, I didn't fill that out. Actually, since I've been generating my own leads, I don't get that one as much.
Yeah.
I've noticed. But it's typically going to be like gotten taken care of, or sometimes like not interested, or call
Oh
me
yeah.
back
So
later.
so they I already got it taken care of. This is a really good one because
Mhm.
people shy off of this one, right? So you call me, yeah. Maddie, I appreciate you calling. I actually just got it taken care of.
Perfect, Johnny. That's exactly what I'm calling. Before I hang up, looks like your file's still open here. I just want to make sure you don't get another 10 calls today. Do you remember if you went with the A, B, or C option?
I went with, I don't remember. It was like $120 a month or something like that.
120 a month? That's what they're charging you?
That was like the lowest one.
Oh my
Website
gosh, that
that one.
seems really expensive for your age. You're 65, correct?
Yeah.
Is it because you're in very poor health?
No, I mean, I'm in really good health. I take one blood pressure medication.
Huh, because that seems awfully high for your age, Johnny. Any recent like strokes, heart attacks, or any cancers in the past?
No.
Huh. Yeah, what I could at least do for you is make sure that you are in the best plan available to protect your family, because for your age, that is awfully high. Are you a nicotine user of any kind? Then I would just bring it straight to underwriting and then continue with the
Huge.
script.
Yeah, and then you go in and see if you could do something better or not. And I
Hmm.
think like the goal of that upfront objection, right, when you're getting that is to be able to create doubt, right? You want to keep them
Hmm.
on the phone, and people, it's the principle that people are gonna run. That people are gonna run away from fear faster than they'll run towards pleasure. If I go and I'm on the side of the street and I say, "Hey, let me give you $100. Let me give you $100. Let me give you $100," they're probably gonna be like, I mean, at least I would be like, no. Even if they have good intention, even if they're just wanting to freely give $100, it's kind of strange. It's kind of weird. But if
Hmm.
somebody's like, "Hey, run! There's a fire," and starts running, you're probably gonna run with that, right? And I think it's the same thing. You got to create doubt, and you got to create you got to just keep them on the phone, right? And
Hmm.
if it's not going to work every single time, but if you go in and you have more conviction, right? The number one lever that you can pull as a salesperson is just have the conviction. If you win their conviction, like you have more conviction than them, you'll be surprised of the people that you can actually keep on the phone, and you end up getting in and you turn a no to a maybe to a okay, maybe a different day, into like, okay, we're doing this actually today. um so you're solely setting appointments. I'm curious, have you ever set appointments, or you're solely one call closing? Have you ever set
Hmm.
appointments or just one call close, or how's that
Never.
work?
I mean, I have like a Calendly link that people will book through, but honestly, if I get a lead, I'm calling it like right
Hmm.
away. Because half
Yeah.
the time they set an appointment for a couple days from today, they forget about it, even with the follow-up text, or even like the confirmation call. But usually, if I just get a lead, I'm calling it right away because one call closed, that's the business we're in. I know some people are big into the appointment setting, but I'd rather just one call close it if I can.
Yeah. What are some of the benefits that you've seen of generating your own leads rather than kind of like just buying leads, like over and over weekly, whatever that looks like?
I just like to have control of my old leads coming in because you never know what vendors are doing, how many other people have seen the lead. Which, don't get me wrong, a lot of these people are scrolling on Facebook, clicking on a bunch of
Hmm.
stuff,
Yeah.
but you don't get as much of the "oh, I didn't fill that out," or a lot of times people know what you're calling about. It's not like a shock. Um, but yeah, I just like to have the control of setting, how much I want to spend, kind of have an idea of how many leads are going to come in, and just kind of testing new creatives and stuff too.
Yeah. That's one thing that you go from just a solo producer, right, to owning your marketing. Talk us through the transition with that, right? Because that's where you're going to see more profitability.
Mhm.
But I know it's challenging for some people. So, what was that transition like, going from just a solo producing agent to now a business owner owning the marketing, really having tabs on profitability, things of that nature?
I think, especially my first month, I was a little overwhelmed because I'm like,
Yeah.
shoot, like I need to learn how to do this, but I need to like focus on my calls and but now you want to kind of get in the swing of things. It's awesome, honestly, being like in charge of my marketing and then really dialing into tracking my numbers. Because before, I literally would like, I had a little Excel spreadsheet, but it was not detailed at all. And
Yeah.
then when you guys gave me that tracker, I was like, holy crap, there are some things I really need to work on. Just seeing percentages of everything. It really just opened your eyes, but it's awesome being able to track every detail, especially after a few months of data of seeing exactly what needs work or, what did well this month, what we really need to focus on.
Yeah, it's the number there's pain in the numbers. And it's scary to see. But
Yeah.
what's like I was talking with Elijah, right, which is our marketing head inside the community. And him and I were talking, and he's like, with when you look at the numbers, it's either extremely motivating or you realize that you're actually doing better than you feel like you are. And so it's always good to go back to your numbers if you're ever in a place in your business that you're not totally sure, hey, are things going well? If you feel that overwhelmed sense, go back to the numbers and just look at it, because it's either like, hey, I need to do XYZ to be able to get there, and you have a clear path, you know exactly what's working, what's not. You're like, hey, I'm actually doing really good. I just don't have enough leads. If I doubled my lead flow, I'd actually be doing really well. Or I'm actually doing well. I could work on my closing. Let me go to that call, right? Let me go to the closing objections call and let me work on that. And now, boom, now you're closing at 60, 70%. And now you're way profitable, right? And so a lot of agents that we work with, and before they come into the community, they don't know their numbers exactly. And I think that's a huge problem, because if you were to go to a big corporation like Amazon, I guarantee they know their numbers. And
Hmm.
you got to know your numbers. Even though you're just an agent, you're just a small business owner, doesn't mean that you shouldn't know your numbers, which is really important. So I want to, as we kind of wrap up here, what is some of your advice, being 1 year in this industry, right? We could talk about a lot of different things, but for you, what are the top like 2 to 3 things that come to mind for you? Um, that you're like, hey, you know what? This is my advice for a new agent to get to 20K a month way faster.
I would say in the beginning, don't be so hard on yourself. I see a lot of people that I know I was. You're going to suck in the beginning. That's just what it is, starting anything new. Um,
Hmm.
but if you are listening to your script daily, like record yourself, you know, reading the script as you would, practice objections daily, listen to the script daily, listen to your calls every day, listen to ones that you sold, what went well, why did this go this way? And then listen to the ones that didn't go so well and track what objections you're getting stumped on every day. But I just think consistency, and especially for new agents, one thing, whatever script you start with, don't change things up. You think you can like put your little sauce on it right away, but you can't. Until you are, consistently selling, do not change anything. Even if it sounds kind of awkward, if it's a proven script and system, don't change anything until you've got it down, and then you can slowly start making tweaks.
Yeah.
But just consistency and practice scripts, objections daily, and that's what's gonna move you forward.
Yeah. I'm curious, right? So you obviously hit the 20K and AP mark, which is awesome, right? That's a huge milestone, and I want to say congratulations, because that's huge.
Thank
A lot
you.
of people don't ever hit that, right? What are the things that you're working on right now in your business to really grow and actually start not going from 20K and AP and submit, but 20K in actual profit? Like, what are some problems that you're facing right now that you're trying to work on and try to get better at?
Um, Full transparency, like I need to get my persistency up.
Hmm.
And I know a big part of it is like GI business and carriers that I shouldn't be using. Just
Yeah.
using better carriers and then scaling as well. Like I want eventually soon here, I'm gonna bring my like lead cost, gonna start throwing more money at that, and then just being more consistent, putting in more time, and
Yeah.
not getting lazy with scripting, objection handling, because it's so easy once you hit a certain number. I haven't made it yet. I want to get to 30, 40,000 a month. But it's easy. Like I just went to Hawaii for a week and I'm already like, I need to get back in it because it's so easy to have everything drilled in your head and you take a week or two off and it's like, okay, I need to get back to the routine of practicing every day. Just not getting lazy.
Yeah. Sales is one of those things that if you take a week off, if you're not doing it and you're not in the zone, I faced that this past week of just other stuff on my mind, other things that I'm working on. And I'm like, dang, these things, I know how to do it, but it's not coming out the way I want it. And so it's just a constant repetition, constant practice. And I think if you approach these problems the same way that you've approached the problems before, you're gonna be on your way, right? Just writing better carriers and being able to kind of do the touch points we've talked about of when they close, sending them out a card, making sure that they have something in writing right there, as quick as possible. There's different nuances and tweaks you can make for that. But yeah, that's real for 100%. But I appreciate you coming on to the channel. Any last words before we wrap up here?
Nope. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. If you love this interview, subscribe right now to the channel and share this with a friend if you found it valuable. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.